Across arid Australia, water points are central to the home ranges of numerous native species. As a result, exotic and native predators such as feral cats, foxes and dingoes frequent these areas for resources. This study aimed to identify any correlation between feral cat and fox densities and dingo management regimes at water sources. Dingoes have been traditionally considered as pests and as a result have been heavily controlled and culled. Control methods include a physical barrier, known as the dingo-proof fence, baiting and commercial killing. This study utilised areas with differing levels of dingo management in order to assess their effects on feral cat and fox populations at water points across arid Australia. The study was performed across 5 sites in New South Wales and South Australia as shown. Each site was within the same desert climatic zone and received similar amounts of rainfall. As an integral aspect of dingo control, sites were positioned on both sides of the dingo fence shown in red. At 3 sites, active control was maintained while there was no control at the other 2. Each site had 2 sampling areas consisting of a 20-kilometre transect which contained water points and were based on the size of average home ranges of foxes and dingoes. Animal presence was determined using 15 sand plots and 20 scent stations as indicated in red. All sampling units were analysed for 2 or 3 consecutive days depending on location. From the results, a data model was then created which described the effect of each management regime on the presence of feral cats and foxes and their distance to water points. The 3 management regimes used were no dingo control, baiting and exclusion fencing. In order to compare the accuracy of model findings to observed predator activity, an activity index was created for each species. The models were then compared to observed data using a goodness of fit test. The results indicated dingoes were more likely to be found closer to water than further away at all sites. It was found that at sites where dingoes were absent, fox presence close to water increased, while the opposite occurred where dingoes were present. Although there was an interaction between distance to water and site for cats, there was no significance between activity and management regime. This study suggested spatial avoidance behaviour between red foxes and dingoes and indicated feral cat activity increased where 1080 baiting was used on dingoes and non-target foxes as indicated in red. Water sources attract predators because of 2 reasons. 1 being the constant source of water and 2 because prey congregate there also. For this reason, the exclusion of exotic predators from these areas decreases their likelihood of surviving, resulting in an overall reduction in numbers and increased survivability of prey. For this reason, it was determined that the presence of dingoes may have positive flow-on effects for local prey species targeted by foxes and cats. This study concluded that for the conservation of native biodiversity, it may prove beneficial to maintain intact dingo populations due to their suppressive effects on smaller predators.